It was never supposed to be anything more than a quiet evening. That's how it started. Just the golden hush of late afternoon slipping into dusk, the kettle humming low in the kitchen, and the steady ticking of the old clock on the wall that hadn't missed a beat in years. My name is Eleanor. I'm 68 years old. And for the past 11 years, I've lived alone in a house far too quiet for the memories it holds. The walls know everything. They know the sound of my late husband's laugh echoing from the study, the rhythm of my daughter's footsteps when she'd sneak back in after midnight, and the way silence took over after everyone left. They know how grief settles in like dust, slowly, softly, until it covers every surface. I hadn't expected to feel anything new at my age. I had folded myself neatly into a routine. Tea at 7, a walk at 10, lunch at 1, and painting by the window until the shadows told me it was time to close the curtains. It wasn't sad exactly, just quiet, manageable, predictable, until that one night when something changed. It started with a knock, not at the door but inside me, like something stirring that had been asleep for years. I was brushing my hair in the mirror when I paused, unsure of what had caught my attention. Feeling not a sound. Slight awareness. I leaned in closer, looking into my own eyes, and whispered, "Are you still in there?" That question haunted me. I poured a glass of wine and sat on the porch. The summer air was thick with the scent of honeysuckle, and the sky bled orange and purple. I watched the neighborhood live. Families in flickering windows, laughter trailing from open patios, a dog barking 2 houses down. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a ghost among them. Felt like a woman again. I remembered how I used to feel in my own skin. Before the surgeries, before the funeral suits, before the kids moved away. There was a time when I wore perfume not out of habit, but because I liked the way it made me feel. A time when a dress wasn't just practical. A time when I looked in the mirror and smiled because I recognized the fire in my eyes. Missed her. The next morning, I opened the old chest at the back of my closet, the one I hadn't dared touch in years. Inside were silk scarves, worn leather journals, a broken locket, and a dress I'd worn on our 20th anniversary. Low neckline. Flowing fabric that had made me feel like I was still a story worth reading. I held it against me and stared into the mirror again. There she was. Older, softer around the edges, but not gone. Just buried. Under years of grief and practicality and doing what was expected. That evening I lit candles. Not for any reason. Not for a man, not for an event. Just for me. I sat in the glow of them, wrapped in the old ivory dress, feeling ridiculous and radiant all at once. I laughed. And then I cried. Because I had forgotten what it felt like to feel alive in my own body. The next day I started walking a different route. I painted with colors I used to avoid. I called my sister for no reason. I bought a red lipstick and wore it to the market. Little things. But they built something. They stirred something. One afternoon, while rearranging books, I found a letter my husband had written but never sent. It was tucked between pages of an old poetry collection. The ink was faded but legible. "If you ever find this, I hope you're still dancing." I sank to the floor, the letter pressed to my chest, and whispered, "I'm trying." That night, I danced barefoot in the kitchen, the record player spinning something jazzy and absurd. I imagined him there, clapping along off-beat like he always did. And I knew, this rediscovery, this becoming, wasn't about replacing loss. It was about reclaiming life. Now, at 68, I wake with curiosity instead of dread. I dress not just for the weather but for my spirit. I've joined a book club, started baking again, and even posed for a local artist's portrait series for women over 65. I never thought I'd say yes to something like that, but I did. And I loved it. Sometimes I still have days where the silence returns too loudly. Days when the memories sting more than soothe. But now I meet those days with softness, with compassion, and with a silk scarf wrapped around my shoulders, not to hide but to remember. 'Cause I am still in here, and I am still becoming.